that, this kind of, disease, like an on-off switch, is not necessarily an accurate way of describing it. I mean, maybe what disease really is if this system, which is really about restoring health or maintaining health, right? It's the natural balance. It's our natural systems to sort of clean up and fix, little problems, right? Like just think about maintaining your house, right? The house always has something going on, right? A little dent in the wall here that you need to fix, or a light bulb is out, right? Or something breaks, something needs to be repainted, right? And so doing that is just an ongoing thing. And so these mechanisms of healing in our body have ongoing repair functions, and that we shouldn't think of these necessarily as illnesses, but perhaps even a better way of thinking about what an illness or a disease really might be is when these systems are so overwhelmed that they can't do it and they go into this kind of chronic state. But even those things, like if you assist the body in repairing, it can get back to health. So what you're talking about of implicating the bacteria or other microorganisms as the cause of the illness, right? It's really important because in this terrain model, what it says is that there is an insult to the tissue. Like, so we can stick with the strep throat. Now, I know in many children, this is associated with dairy. So there's some material in the dairy itself, right? And it could be maybe the casein protein, or it could be a parasitic organism that's formed by pasteurization, right? Or it could be, some product of one of the bacteria that's in there because of resistant to antibiotics, right? But something in there, it damages the tissue in the throat, like as you swallow it down. And then in response to that, your blood cells or perhaps other cells send out these protids, and there's other names for them, right? Like microzyma or somatids. And they then evolve to the stage of streptococcus and come there because those are the right kind of bacteria to clean up the throat tissue, right? And because they're eating the damaged tissue, of course, they excrete wastes, just like we excrete wastes when we eat. And their wastes happen to irritate the tissue and cause the symptoms, but it's actually also an important part of the healing because those waste products like dilate the blood vessels in the tissue, which causes swelling and secretions. And that increases the blood supply to bring more nutrients for healing. And the secretions accelerate removing the waste products from the area, right? And so using antibiotics will interrupt that process and relieve the symptoms, but it actually interrupts the healing. So that tissue is never allowed to completely heal. And then that causes recurrent infections usually, and perhaps other problems. But this is kind of how we're explaining like this beneficial role, or more scientifically apropos, saprophytic role of these various microorganisms along the different stages.
Precisely.